Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Golf Lovers United podcast, and I am your host this time, Pro Golf Critic. And we have a special guest joining us who's going to be a regular contributor to Golf Lovers United. A lot of you know him from the Twitter, as we say. He's been a heavy contributor there. Red Harrington. How's everything going, Red?
Good. Formerly known, or now known as X. Actually, I think we should keep that out there.
I'm never gonna call it X. It just is what it is.
No, I'm going great, man. Yeah, it's been a heck of a week, and excited to have another one here in Nashville. It's still warm down here in the south, so that should be fun to battle. But
always.
Other than nearing heat exhaustion, doing really great.
Yeah, and for a lot of listeners that may not know this, you were boots on the ground at Pinehurst for the past week, which was, honestly, one of the most memorable majors, particular recent memory, and I just saw that it's the highest rated East Coast U.S. Open since 2013. So it's been like more than 10 years since there's been one that's been rated this high. Obviously, seems like there was a little bit of star quality. Like I've been trying to make this case for like a year. It seems like we needed to get the stars performing in a major. It was box office, having Bryson and Rory, battling down the stretch, and Bryson having to get up and down for 55 yards from the bunker. It was just an incredible finish. And you were there, so. How was the experience on the ground? I know you got a chance to touch the trophy too, so that was awesome.
Yes, and I got another chance today. So I have now touched the United States Open trophy twice, which is an incredible, and I don't know how to even describe it. Like I've seen it plenty of times. I've gone to the World Golf Hall of Fame now twice. And now that it's at Pinehurst, and then also when it was in the Jacksonville area. And just looking through it from, a glass protection and thinking, I wonder what that feels like. It's metal. It's a really hard metal, but it was a really unique, awesome experience touching, that piece of history and legacy. So the week was amazing, man. I mean, I want to shout out the biggest star of this show, Pinehurst number 2. I thought, definitely, obviously, the star power that was at the top of the leaderboard definitely helped that. But just the golf course showed out. I mean, all week, people around me yelling, golf course, like literally rooting on the punishment because it just is so
That's
fun.
Amazing.
It is. It's so fun. I mean, and it's like I'm already a golf course nerd, but even the people who are casual golf fans understand like how great it is to watch these guys suffer a little bit. And it doesn't happen every week, and it doesn't have to happen every week.
We don't see it enough.
Yeah, but I don't think we see it enough, but then it also makes it that sweet when we do. So that was a big part of it. I think just the way the entire thing works, I cannot, stand by the USGA enough for having that as an anchor site. I think I was a little skeptical when they originally came out with this, and I'd never really seen the property. That was a first visit for me. It was... really? It was amazing. It was a great time. Yeah, it was first time seeing number 2. I mean, I can't wait to go play it soon. I totally understand why Pinehurst is willing to put up with all the infrastructure and the things they had to do. I mean, they literally built the entranceway is on top of one of the fairways of another golf course, and they basically just destroyed one of those holes. They destroyed
every USGA event, though, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, they used all the golf courses they had available to them to make sure their infrastructure and everything fit, but it worked seamlessly. And it was just an amazing time. And it looked like everything was running so smoothly. Like it is, I can't wait to go back in 5 years. It's just spectacular.
Yeah.
And I hope it's just as good of a finish because I imagine people who are still going to be good at golf will rise to the top of that place. So.
For sure. Yeah, I think so. I've been fortunate enough to go to Pinehurst, played a few times. Obviously, I went to college in the area. I have not played it since the renovation, so it's been about 12 years since I've been there. Went there with my dad and brother. Played number 2 course, played number 4. I will say, and I read you and I have had this conversation previously on Twitter Spaces or X Spaces, as you like to call it. Where I kind of like the look of Pinehurst before more than what it looks now. So for
Yeah.
the listeners, basically Pinehurst used to be a lot more like Augusta National, where there was sort of grass everywhere instead of these like sandy native areas. And when they renovated the course, they took a lot of the grass out. They put in the sandy native areas, which is totally fine. Like I like, the native areas. I just kind of prefer the sort of older look of it being a little bit more green. That's just my personal preference. It's still a great course. I think the randomness with the native areas is kind of really interesting too. So you just never know what kind of lie you're going to get.
Yeah.
And rough, it's more predictable. So,
I think it added a lot to just like even my own viewing experience from the ground, because I would see a ball go in, and if it was in the fairway, great. But if it went into the native areas, I was like, all right, I got to get over there and see what it looks like. Like, sometimes you could just peek over where they were and kind of get a good visual and be like, oh, that is screwed. Like, he's not. And then sometimes you'd be like, wow, that's clean living. Like, it would just sit right
Yeah.
there, just, a nice sand lie. They're still not easy shots to hit. I personally would screw them up like 9 times out of 10. Like, I mean, you throw the way my feet, like that's what I thought would bother, even, especially the likes of Bryson, where I think we've always kind of looked at Bryson as being like this PJ Tour dome golfer where he needs the lies that are worked with, all the hours he spends on the range and things like that. And that's, I mean, we can kind of go into it, but that was my big takeaway is Bryson DeChambeau is a bona fide golfer. He is not the long ball guy. He is not like the single length. He's just a golfer. He golfed the heck out of his ball all week. I couldn't have been more impressed. Obviously when you win, it's hard to be unimpressed, but just, I mean, and we can go more into it, but just some of the way he played,
he handled the adversity. He handled Brandel Chambly on the telecast, totally hating on him the entire final round. It was just we're not going to get into that, but it's like, I mean, there was clearly a little bias there, and the Brandel was clearly rooting for Rory McIlroy over Bryson.
Yeah, well,
neither here nor there.
We can go into Bryson's presser too, but we did a Legion 13 press conference today, and I got in a question with John, and I think maybe one of the best answers he gave to my question about the telecast was, I just watch it on mute. I don't.
I did see that.
Don't
that was
listen.
Really funny. I was like, really funny. I mean, he makes a great point. I actually I started listening to the alternate feed on Peacock, where they actually brought in the Sky Sports our broadcast team from the UK. That was actually kind of like a breath of fresh air for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I did eventually go back to the US broadcast for various reasons. It was kind of flipping between the two, but it was a really interesting thing, and I was happy, obviously super happy to see Bryson win. I think he's a worthy champion. I think that he's just, Golf Lover and I, we've had a chance to spend a little bit of time with Bryson over the past year or so, and he's just, I think he's one of those people in the golf world that's been totally misunderstood. Like, I really do. Like, I had my preconceived notions about Bryson based off of what other people's opinion was. And he's just totally not like that. Like he's such a genuine guy. Like I relate to him in a lot of ways because, on social media, people sort of give me a hard time for like, they think that I'm divisive. They think that I'm all these things that I'm actually not. I'm just really passionate about golf, and I am really passionate about my opinions. And I know Bryson is the same way, and I think that can be misconstrued sometimes when you do have that passion. And it can rub people the wrong way. But it's like, if you understand people and like understand their passion for something, like that's something that like you have to like take into account. That like, I mean, look, we just love golf. We want to see it bigger. We want to see it better.
Mhm.
We were not happy with the way golf was. Neither was he. Neither,
Yep.
neither you, neither was me. Like we all wanted to see golf better, which is part of the reason why we're so passionate about LIV Golf and seeing LIV Golf succeed. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
so
mean,
his
you
press
couldn't see it
conference, yeah,
anymore today. You know,
yeah,
it was just running over. His passion was literally, I
it
mean,
really was.
don't mean this figuratively, like it was running out of him. He started to get teary-eyed talking about it, and I choked up a bit. I'm getting a little choked up thinking about it now because it was so, and I'm sure people would think it's, somehow it's fake or it's
Yeah,
pre-planned and
it's
whatever, but
not.
it's not. It's a
No.
genuine emotion that I think he has about why he did this switch, what he thought he was going to see change from it. Sure, he got paid. I mean, they all did. Let's be honest about
Yeah,
that. It kind of starts with that, but if
for sure.
anything else is 1A, it's the way Bryson feels about how he wants to impact the game and how, and it was great to hear him talk about that today. And I think people need to kind of start respecting him for that. And you don't
Yeah,
have to agree with everything he says. You don't have to go buy single length irons. You don't have to go buy a crank driver. You can if you want to be better. I don't know. I'm probably not going to do it. I have run of the mill off the rack, clubs, whatever, but they're
yeah,
not 3D printed. But he
right.
says he wants to bring them to people too. And like that was a
Yeah,
revelation today. It's like he just wants golf to be, and I'm sure we could have great discussions with him, or I would at least, because you would agree with him, but I would love to talk about the golf ball and why I think,
uh,
I mean, and we're not going to get into it today because
yeah.
that would we'd be going forever. But
That's a whole
just
nother podcast. But yeah,
for sure. But at the same time, I just think it's all these things wrapped into one. Is like, the man puts Epsom salt in water so he can tell where the balance is on his golf ball. Like we're talking about a
I'm gonna
person
start
who
doing that for sure.
I he literally, they talked about it today. The same, I forget, I think his name's Dan. He was there today and they were laughing about it. And
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
wanted
saw that.
to try to get one more in and be like, are you going to get an Epsom salt contract? Because like, do you know how many people like Bryson Salts,
Yeah,
like just, and anyways, but
yeah.
just, it
He
was
doesn't
really
need the
great.
Epsom salt. Yeah, he doesn't need the Epsom salt anymore, as our guy Live Golf Nation says. The tears of the corrupt golf media are plenty for
Yes.
to find those balance points.
Plenty of salty
Neither
tears
here
out
nor
there for
there.
sure.
Yeah, plenty of salty tears out there. But no, congrats again to Bryson. Super proud of him. I've got my Bryson 58 shirt on today to show support. I am shelving the Aces hat for a little bit until they podium. So I need to shake things up with them a little
Yeah.
bit. Like we got to win an event here. So I got the Bryson shirt on. I'm going without the Aces hat for the second straight show.
Mhm.
So let's pick it up, Aces. We got to get going. Um,
I I'm sorry that they're doing what they are, and they definitely need to. And then I would just like to take this time to proclaim that I am probably joining Crushers GC. I'm always gonna be a ripper. I was a ripper since they were punch. Like that's never going
yeah,
away. But
yeah,
you can I've said this since the get go. You can have more than one team. There,
yes,
not all teams are gonna be created equal and are always going to be, there's always going to be the ups and downs, and there's not an
yep,
issue with having more than one. So
yes,
Crushers is now going to be my third team actually, because I am,
yeah,
and I think we're both kind of on the same page of this. Is I'm a high flyer because Phil
yeah, of
is
course,
someone who brought me into the game. I was always
yeah,
inspired
yeah,
to start my golfing career because of what I saw out of Phil. So uh,
yeah, yeah.
he's definitely up there. I
I'm
just
with you.
think, yeah,
Yeah,
they need to do better, but
yeah.
they're my bottom barrel team. Sorry, Phil. Just
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I've got multiple teams. Like I've got other teams trying to recruit me as a fan now. Like we did last time with Smash. Like look,
yeah.
shout out to Smash, shout out to Brooks. I've kind of got 4 teams that are trying to recruit me to their camp. So we've got the Aces obviously have been our primary from the beginning. High Flyers, like you mentioned, obviously shout out to Phil. Crushers. I've loved the Crushers from the start. Like, I mean, and I've got Paul Casey, Charles Howell III, shout out Chucky Three Sticks, and Bryson trying to recruit me and come over the Crushers. If like Honorbon joins in, I might have to sort of fully make the switch. And then we obviously have Smash too. So look, those are my 4 teams. We're going to see how the rest of the year plays out. I want the Aces to maintain that sort of pole position, but just know that this could change. This is fluid. So
I mean, it always is going to be, I think, and that's like a fun part of it too. But I really think that I was already slowly becoming a Crushers fan. I got to watch them win in Miami last year, and that was like, it was very cool to see them and how they bonded and the where they're playing, and then also just kind of joking around with Bond's wife. Actually, I ran into her in the crowd, and she was like,
"Nice.
What do we have to do to get you on the Crushers?" And I was like, I don't know. We'll see about that. So, but
That's
Paul
amazing.
Casey, and I know you feel the same way. Paul Casey, Charles Howe are some of the nicest people out there. Bond is super nice too, and I've always just had this thing about like, I don't know where I'd land on Bryson. I thought he's a very good player. I didn't know if I didn't want to be a bandwagoner either. I know when they won, so I was like, do I do it? And then just getting to witness that was just like, all right, you have me. Like, I mean, it was just incredible. You let me touch the U.S. Open trophy. I'm gonna buy a Crushers hat. I just will. So, just for any of you, for anybody watching in the future, I don't know if John wants to bring the Augusta National Trophy around.
Ooh.
Maybe I'll wear a Legion's hat. I don't know.
That's a good point. Or if Brooks with the Wanamaker. Those are great points. Like we may have to dive into that as well. But
sure.
No, Bryson, I think everything we've said everything. I actually they were talking about on the presser today that his Stitch and Crushers collab is totally sold out. I may have contributed to that. We'll have to wait and see if that shows up in the mail. So, except look, we're all super proud of Bryson. It was just like an amazing performance of Pinehurst. I'm sure he's exhausted. Like, my expectations for him this week are very, very low. However, I think he's going to have a great rest of the season. Like, I've made a case that he is like, he has a strong case for being the number 1 player in the world. And yeah, so like I think that he certainly could be. Like, he's definitely top 3. He's probably top 2, and I've got him number 1.
Pardon my shuffling papers, but I think we're measuring out at like a pretty decent number. And I think that it's going to be such a like, he looked exhausted. I really have written down here 12 hours of sleep in the last 3 days ish. So like, he's running on fumes. I doubt he even went and played today.
No, I think he said. So the course measurement. So yeah, let's move on to Nashville. Nashville is being held at the Grove. It's about 7,300 yards. I saw par 71. I don't believe there's been any professional event there before. At least not high level. No PJ Tour. They may have had a Corn Ferry event at some point. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, I was looking at the course map and some of the holes. However, you've been boots on the ground the last 24 hours. What are your observations of the course, and what do you think in general?
Well, so I did take it a little easy on myself today. I really just scouted the back 9, but I did get to see 9 because that comes kind of right over near the practice area. So I walked out a bit. 9, actually very interesting green complex. And a lot of them are fairly similar. They have pretty good runoffs all around. So there was always kind of a spot to miss. I think that will be something to look at as, I was talking to Kessler Crane, caddy of P. Reed, right? Kessler Crane. Yeah. And he was just saying that he thinks it's a second shot golf course, and it definitely looks it. There's a decent amount of room, so that's. If it wasn't for the fact that he just won the U.S. Open and he's just looked like barely there, like I don't even know. I don't want to call it like he's hungover. He might have been celebrating, but it was just an emotional hangover
Yeah,
for
the
sure.
emotional roller coaster. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
I would see like, big guns winning out here.
Mhm.
There's a lot of room. And what room there isn't, you just kind of have to be smart and play to a side. So there's a couple of
Yeah.
holes where I think you could definitely get yourself in danger if you do
Mhm.
not pick the right side or you do spray it
Right.
a little too much because there is a decent amount of water. It seems like,
Yep.
and we will touch on this, but it's a community that it plays around. So all
Yeah.
the decent land, like the higher dry stuff is all homes, and then everywhere it kind of works down into these areas where there's golf holes. So for the
Mm.
most part, it looks like they either put the dirt there or they found some space to kind of fit it in, and then like best example is the 16th hole. I don't know if you saw my tweet about that, but it's literally a tunnel. It's a chute. Yeah. And as soon as you go through that chute, because it's all wetlands right there, they have to walk around that area because it's so wet in there. So they must have just cut down some trees to shoot, and then left
Oh.
is water, marsh, like gone, like with barely any rough, and then right is 15 yards, but a car path in the middle of that, and also, so
Yeah.
it's just
Wow.
there's definitely areas where you can miss a little bit, but it will
Right.
be a golf course that length is definitely helpful. Second
Yeah.
shots are important. There, and there's a few levels of the greens that will probably, Kessler was saying that, and I was like, you must be talking about the front nine because I just walked the back and it looked flat.
Uh,
So,
yeah.
but for the most
Yeah.
part, like I would say it's definitely professional level in size, and then the green complexes have their intricacies that for 3 day, and again, this is where 3 days come such in the clutch for them to be doing these things. Is there's 3 hard pins out there, maybe there's probably
Mm.
not 4. So
Interesting.
that's
Yeah.
like, I
That's a good
mean,
point.
they're big enough greens they could find them, but one day
Yeah.
you're probably gonna have just the easiest pin you can imagine. Some of these green
Yeah, for sure.
complexes. So
Yeah.
I did get to
Yeah.
talk to my guy Jonesy, and he said that they were rolling
Mm.
like really, really well. He really enjoyed it out there. Really
Oh, nice.
nice, pretty quick Bermuda. So definitely
Yeah.
think like, anybody who can putt too. It's just one of those golf courses that it's not so long that I think the other guys can compete, and we've talked
Yeah.
about this before.
That's
Is like
important.
that's what's so great about LIV at times is they might not be playing on these monster golf courses, but it allows the whole field to compete in a way
Yeah.
that maybe we don't see day to day on the PGA Tour. So
100%. Like that variety, I think is really interesting. And I was just looking at the closing 4 holes. I mean, you can't get much more variety than this. Like you've got the party hole 15, which is like a short par 3. It's about
yep,
132 yards. Then you got 16 that we just talked about. 17 is a long par 4. It looks like one of those holes that's probably a par 5 for the members. It's over 500 yards.
mm-hmm.
And then
It's
18
beefy.
is and then 18 is a par 5 finisher or 580. So I mean you've got a lot of stuff that could potentially happen on those last 4 holes, which is always really, really great for the entertainment product. I mean, look, we all kind of have a hangover from Pinehurst. It'll be great to see some birdies out there because there weren't that many to be
Yeah,
had at Pinehurst for sure. And I think these guys are definitely gonna uh, uh, play well. And I think we're probably gonna see. I mean, if I had to guess, we're probably going to see a winning score around what we saw at Houston. I think it's kind of like a similar
yeah,
similar difficulty. So someplace around that, 13 to 15 under
yeah,
for 3 days, probably.
yeah. I mean, it's I don't know what the weather's been here. To tell you the truth, I haven't like
Yeah,
delved into it, but it does
yeah.
seem a little
I think.
softer. And I do think that they'll kind of take advantage of it. If you're on your
Yeah,
game, it's definitely somewhere in that 15 area, and especially
yeah,
honestly too,
yeah,
the temperature is still fairly warm. It's got that humid air, so
yeah.
it's gonna play even a little bit shorter. So
Yeah, it's the southeast in June. Like it just is what it is. Like I mean, it's going to be hot,
fucking hot.
humid, thunderstorms. I mean, it sounds like there's a little bit of a heat wave kind of on that side
Yeah,
side of the country. I would know. I've had California's kind of like its own little enclave when it comes to the weather. not really that exposed to what's going on in the rest of the country, unfortunately. But so I think it's going to be an interesting event. I'm looking forward to it. Anytime we have a new course to see, I think it's something that's really it's one of the coolest things about LIV. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Grove. I think it's going to be interesting, and I just get this funny feeling that like obviously so we've got a hometown kid, Caleb Surratt. It's kind of the hometown. He's kind of the informal host of this event.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm just going to stop you right there. It's not his hometown, but it is might as well be. As far as like the PGA Tour goes, like when you call Connecticut Keegan Bradley's hometown, the guys from Vermont, I mean, we can make that.
They get really pissed.
I just like we need to be clear about this. He's from Knoxville, or he's lived in Knoxville. It's 2 hours away. He's from North Carolina. I didn't know that. John said that today.
Right? That's true. That is true. And but I kind of consider all that the same, honestly.
I might as well be. So go ahead. I know I'm going to piss people off.
I know I'm going to piss people off in the South. Look, there's people that get pissed off. Talking about Chapel Hill versus Durham. So I can only imagine North Carolina, Tennessee, people getting pissed off at that. But look, he's from the Southeast. He went to college at Tennessee. I think he's kind of an informal host. I think that there is going to be a lot of support for Legion 13 out there. And like this just seems like Rahm's been kind of lying in the weeds here. He's had this little injury. He looks to be fully recovered from everything I've seen and heard. Seems like a great spot for him to finally get his first win. Yeah.
So I actually this is my fault because I have it right in front of me here, but designed by LIV Golf CEO and Commissioner Greg Norman.
Oh, I actually did know that. That's
opened in 2012. Also nice.
Okay.
Golf Digest ranked the Grove as one of its top 10 courses in its best in Tennessee list. So it's up there. And then it also was a Korn Ferry Tour final event in 2023. So it also had a USGA and NCAA tournament. So there's definitely because you can tell there's tees that like they don't use these for everyday play. Like that makes no sense. So there's definitely some things that like that tunnel. That tunnel is just a very small tee, and then all the other like members tees are way around to the right. It's like such an easier hole. Like I would be like, I'm going over there. I'm not playing this. Like I'm not losing this ball. I'm gonna ruin my round on 16. Yeah, right.
When it comes to playing the back tees at some of these places, I've lost the will to do that a long time ago. So in tournaments, I'm obviously gonna play usually from the backs. But if I'm just trying to enjoy myself, I'm gonna play the member tees.
Yeah. For sure. And then also talk about modifications. It is a par 72 for members. They drop one on the second. It's 529.
Oh, the second. So, okay.
Yeah. But it looks like it plays like a hair downhill from when I drove by it. So it's definitely like they'll probably still get there. I mean, these guys are so long. It's a joke.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, last week was a perfect example of that. If you watched it all and you saw, like, I couldn't believe guys were getting to 8-2. It's insanity.
Oh,
the 8th hole.
Yeah.
It was a bear.
Yeah. There are a lot of holes. I mean, look, it was playing firm and fast. This probably won't play quite like that, but you never know. I mean, I'd like to see. I think it is going to be softer for birdies and all that, but again, we'll have to see all that plays out.
And the fairways fairways are zoysia, so that usually tends to be a little softer. Generally, it's kind of holds the moisture. It's super nice surface though. Super nice surface.
Yeah. And I know that was one thing going into the PGA Championship. Those were zoysia as well, and I made a point during that Brooks Koepka has won a lot of tournaments on zoysia grass. So I mean, he won Bellerive, he won the PJ there in 2018. Sentosa, he just won that a month ago. So yeah, zoysia could be. I mean, look, I think that this is one of those courses. I think that these guys are very competitive. Bryson's obviously getting a lot of attention. everybody loves that. However,
No,
these guys
Brooksy.
also have egos too, so like
Yeah.
they're going to come to play, and I think we're going to see probably Rahm and Brooks right up there.
Yeah. I hate to do this, but not to do a drive by, but I saw DJ out there a little bit today. It's still not looking that great.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I hate to do
Fair.
this to your aces. I want it to look great. Don't get me wrong.
Me too.
It just like, and for practice round stuff, you like usually it's easier for, if anything, and it just still like the 15, the short par 3, he like left it to like 30, 40-ish feet, and I'm like Sergio almost dunked that, man. Like,
I saw that video. Yeah, that was impressive. Yeah.
He literally, I'm not even kidding. He was right there. He literally walked up and took the hole.
That's amazing. Yeah, DJ, like I think he's got some he's definitely got some improvements he has to make. However, you just never know when it's gonna click. I definitely think that he is struggling a little bit. But look, he's Dustin Johnson. He's gonna get it back. He's working hard.
He was working. That's the thing too. He was working.
Exactly. That's the main thing. Like, he's gonna continue to work through this. And I have a funny feeling like we're gonna see the best of him pretty soon. Sometime within the next, 12 months. So
I'm confident in what I saw, but it just and that's the thing is like
he's not quite there.
Like when guys are vibing on practice rounds, they're like, I'll play 2 balls and keep moving. And it was like, I'm going to throw a few more down because I'm not getting what I want. And I'm pretty sure I saw Claude out there working with him too. So it's not, he's doing the work. It's just not clicking right now. It's the game of golf. And I hope to see it soon. And he could prove me fucking dead wrong and go out and win this week. And I wouldn't be surprised. So just
certainly could. Like, sometimes it just takes the one shot at the right time to sort of get everything clicking. So, hopefully DJ, look, people have been in my DMs and messaging, trying to tear down Dustin Johnson. It was part of the reason why I did that analysis of his major career within the past week. Like, he's going to have another spike where he outperforms expectations. It's going to come at some point in the next 3 years. I know this. Just like knowing how patterns in golf generally work and looking at past his history and like that of other great elite high level players, they all get into this thing in their like early 40s where like they hit another peak. So, and I think that he's certainly going to do that as well.
I mean, if there's anything to look forward to, Oakmont, defending champion at Oakmont. See you next year.
Yes,
we'll have a day.
Yeah. So. Oakmont could be, Oakmont's obviously a place where he has a lot of great memories from 2016. So, I got to say, the U.S. Open venues the next, 10 years are some bangers. I mean, we got Pinehurst again. We got Oakmont. We got Shinnecock, my personal favorite. We got Pebble, which is another one of my favorites. Like, I mean, we've got so many. We got Winged Foot again. And then we got Riviera on the list too. Like, I mean, there's a lot of great courses coming up.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Yeah. I'm excited for it. But to get more back to on topic, do we want to do a quick injury report? Because I guess that's something we need to do now. That's what I was going
to talk about. Yeah. So I did want to lead off with because we were talking about the Crushers earlier. It does look like I had kind of gotten conflicting reports. Like, I put it out there a few days ago that Catlin was John Catlin was going to step in for the Crushers again because Charles Howell wasn't quite fully recovered. Then I got information saying, wait, Charles Howell might play, and then it sounds like now that he's probably going to be out. So
which is unfortunate. So we love Charles. Yeah.
We love CH3. Hope he gets better. I'm sure we will see him for Valderrama, the next event, which is in 3 weeks. So I'm sure he'll be fine. I know he had some sort of it wasn't a stress fracture. It was more like it might have been a stress fracture. I can't remember exactly, but it was like some sort of a lower leg injury that he was sort of nursing back to health. Yeah. And it doesn't sound like it's too serious. This was kind of a borderline one. With a couple more weeks rest, he should be back in there. But shout out to John Catlin though. Like, I think he's a high level player. Obviously, he's won a couple times on the Asian Tour. So I don't think the Crushers are going to drop off at all.
I don't think they're going to be a drop off. I don't, and like obviously, like we said, this week is probably not the week to pick the Crushers. It could still
Right.
happen.
Yeah.
But just you know, John, Bryson, those are not your or like right now, Bryson. Those are not your best
Yeah.
people to throw out there, and they're also like they're in first. So is
Yeah.
there really that big of a need for them to go out and go crazy? Maybe not. I'm sure they
That's
would
true.
love to, but that's
Yeah.
just it. I'm excited to see John. Actually, I really am looking forward to seeing him play. He's been playing
Same.
amazing on the Asian Tour. He's won my other home event is in the Irish Open. So
Oh.
just a couple Open champions, couple
Yeah.
international Open champions on your team this week
Yeah,
can't
on the
hurt you.
same team. That
Yeah,
is
can't hurt.
true. That's a good point. Yeah, I think that's where the sort of ebbs and flows of these teams really works. Pressure, like I think, look, I can see Legion up there. I still think Torquay. I keep picking Torquay every single week to win until they actually do it. This could very well be the week. Like they
Yeah,
played pretty well on Bermuda greens, and they did pretty well. In Houston, I think they were tied fourth, so they were tied with the Crushers.
yeah. They had
And
the individual winner. It just everybody else
yeah,
was middling.
yeah,
Just
exactly, yeah.
is how it is
Shout out
sometimes.
to Carlos winning. Yeah, so I think top, Legion, Crushers, Torquay. I think I could see all those teams playing well. And then, like, we are kind of winding down with the season here. It's crazy to think about. This is event 9 out of 14 out of 13 individual events. We've only got 4 more individual events left.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Valderrama, then we've got JCB in the UK, then we've got Greenbrier, and then we have the individual championship in Chicago.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Are we ready to like start like can we draw a line here and be like these are the teams that compete and these are the teams that are just like competing against the bad teams? Like would you commit to any of that?
Um, yeah,
I know where
I
my
don't know.
line would be.
Yeah, yeah. There's probably a couple lines I do, and the problem is like if we draw a line now, like I'm definitely counting out my aces. So I
Yeah.
got to give the aces a couple
Well,
more events to like get back up there because now, I mean, they're in 10th still, even with the 4th place last
they're
week.
they're below my line. They're below my
Yeah,
line.
they're definitely below the line,
But
unfortunately.
listen, I mean, if
Yeah.
you do draw the line, I think then you can then hang your hat on how you weren't, maybe you jumped out of that. Like
Ah,
so
no, that's fair. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Okay, so I think that if you were to if I was to say kind of where the line was now with like just looking at the current points and the gaps, I think that line is probably between 8 and 9. Like
mhm.
it definitely seems like there's a huge gap there, but between Fireballs at 8, Range Goats at 9, there's like a 20-point gap between those two teams.
Yep.
I mean, look, you can jump up like pretty quickly. Like, look, you get 32 points for wins. So, even the aces, like the aces are at 35 points. If they happen to get a win, like they could like jump above the line here, but they, again, like I've been saying that we were going to keep seeing more from them, and they just haven't really performed the way I want them to. So.
Mm-hmm.
So if we are looking at the line, like, I mean, that's really where it is. So, like,
Yep.
I can see even a team like Smash, like Smash finished second last time out. Like, they could kind of, if they win this particular event and the ones at the top kind of struggle, like, they're right back in the mix
Yep.
going into sort of the stretch of the season. So,
we're same number. I'm 8 and 9.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then my next line would be like just naturally 4 and 5 would be like so my mid tiers 5 through 8. And then I could see Ripper and Smash flip. Like honestly, Rippers are like if they finish in the middle, I'm pretty happy with the season. So I don't see them as being the highest of high class. I love all of them. I just think Mark and Jonesy, they're just at that age now where they need their weeks and they hit those weeks. And then other than that, sometimes they have middling performances. Cam's usually been fairly good. And then, I don't know. I'm still like, yeah. I'm not gonna say.
That's right.
But yeah, so
No, look. Lucas Herbert is like I think he's been one of the sort of theories that I had at the beginning of the season, and it sort of bared out a little bit. Like, I mean, some of these guys just like it takes them a little bit of time to get used to sort of everything going on at LIV because it's a different environment. Like it's a different format. Like a lot of guys aren't really used to it. And I was really curious to see like what guys were going to get used to it faster than others.
Yep.
And I got to say someone like Jon Rahm got adjusted way faster than I thought he would. Like, I mean, he has been the most consistent player on LIV throughout the I guess he's only played 7 events because he missed the last one or the second half of the last one. But you know, some of these guys have had slow starts, and I see them sort of picking it up a little bit. Lucas Herbert's one of those guys that I feel like has sort of picked it up a little bit. Yeah. Like he finished 6th in Houston, so like I can see some of these guys sort of picking it up as time goes on. Yeah.
I think that's honestly is like it's for me. It was like so I had high hopes, and then early it was not very good, and now he's got it to the point he's at 31, and actually I would put him right next to where everybody is, but he's still below Richard Bland. Yeah. So and I mean Blandemonium, baby, you can't go against that, but still like Richard.
We love Blandy. Richard, but like he needs to be Bland. Better. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like I mean. It is going to be really competitive sort of in that, you know, 21 to 30 spot. So, and I think the next couple of weeks, we're going to see a lot of volatility there because, I mean, Valderrama's, I've already told everybody Valderrama's my favorite course that they play at LIV Golf. And I'm excited for the Grove too. Like, I think it's going to be interesting to see someone like Thomas Pieters, like see how he gets on because I know Thomas Pieters is one of the top 24 players at LIV.
Yeah.
He's in 27th now, so it's like, I mean, he needs to sort of continue picking up, and I think that he will the back half of the
season. Two things with Thomas. One, he was the first one out there today. He was practicing. 2, I think he was the first one out there because I just noticed this, but him and his brother are starting some kind of golf practice app, and I need to get that out there and like start shouting that out because like I'll, you know, keep doing that. Like that's anything you can do to help kind of foster that. And it was like, looked like this really fun program where you do these different kind of drills and you earn divots, and then divots can be used as like a way to gamble with your playing partners. And then I don't know if you use them for like, if you redeem them or what, but I need to do more research on it, but just shout out Thomas Pieters growing the game. You know, I
love to hear stuff like that.
Yeah, gotta shout him out.
I think golf practice I think that's one of the, again, it's one of the great things about LIV where these guys, there's a little bit more sort of entrepreneurial spirit, and they have a little bit more time on their hands to sort of do stuff like this, which is I think a really cool part. And yeah, that's an interesting one. We may have to shout them out and see if they want to sponsor us. So story for another day. We'll have to think about that.
I'll start working the ground. I'll start doing the groundwork on that. Get him. I almost shouted over to him, but I didn't want to like. I was gonna be like, how many divots is that worth? But you know.
Yeah. Speaking of sponsors, yeah. Shout out to Form Wellness. They're not an actual sponsor of ours. However, I have been shouting out Form Wellness because I've had their gummies. They're really good. They're sort of like percolating throughout LIV now too, and some of the sort of superfood bites and things like that. Really, really high quality stuff. And it has sort of changed my practice routine, and I feel a little bit more energized or a sort of long practice routine. So yeah, shout out to Form Wellness. Yeah,
I mean, no free ads, but I talked to Eugenio today, and he was like, I love them. You know, I'm sure if anybody follows me on Twitter, you might have seen like I caught him sharing them with all the fireballs when they're doing a fireball team practice, and you know, he's just like, yeah, everybody really enjoys them. They kind of give you that little bit of extra energy, and he had nothing but good things to say, and he also said they were delicious, actually. So I mean, if you're looking for something to crunch on, so
yeah, they're great. They're great. Couldn't recommend them more. Also, shout out to Rolex. Shout out to BMW as potential sponsor. No, I'm kidding.
No, and Maserati. Maserati. Get me
shout out
get
to
me one of
Maserati.
them Maseratis. I showed up today. Jay and I were talking. I showed up today. There was Maseratis lined up in the driveway, and they're slowly but surely getting them out on the golf course. So be prepared to see those kind of smattered about the golf course, which is fairly interesting to see that kind of full maturation of that deal they're getting together. So one was lined up pretty close to the first tee. I mean, hopefully they got insurance on it. I don't know. These guys are good, but you never know. There's a lot of pro-am.
They do have the pro-am. They got the pro-am tomorrow, so
someone get a fence around it or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe some net.
They might have to temporarily move it. Yeah, we'll have to see.
But speaking of for wellness, do I want to talk about the one guy who has his wellness back?
Oh, sure.
Mr. Jon Rahm, because he seemed sprightly today. He didn't. He just seemed fine. He seemed his normal self. I shouldn't say sprightly because that really never describes Jon Rahm, but he was
sandals though. No sandals. Flip flops anymore.
No. He just basically said it's still there. The infection's gone, and he feels fine. Was basically like everything he said. So he seemed like he kicked up on the couch all weekend and watched golf for the most part, which I should have added in there. Like, that's a pretty good regimen of recovery. Like, that's, as injuries go, like, I'll take one of those, and give me an excuse to do what I normally do. But the press conference today, he seemed fairly fine. The team seemed in spirits. I think they had him in there because of Caleb's relation, and he said very much what you said is he's going to have a lot of people out there this week. Terrell had some answers on, actually a great moment. I don't know if you caught this, but someone asked him who would be on the Mount Rushmore of angry golfers for LIV Golf.
I did see this.
And my poor man's from England, so he had no idea what Mount Rushmore was. And then the best part was John was like, I can confidently say, you mean like top 4, right? And he's like, am I getting that right? Because John was like, I think it's like I'd studied civics a little bit probably, but it was just, that was gold.
That was really funny. I did see
classic,
that.
And it was an American guy. I won't tell you who it was, but if you go back and listen to it, it's worth it. I got a good chuckle from it in the corner. But and then of course no one really had anything for Kieran. I swear I need to just invent questions for Kieran. He sits up there every time. He gets, I think it was the in Miami, they finished the quick presser after, and he was like, great job everybody, great job. And like just a classic, like no one asked me anything, like I'm barely basically just a wall out here.
I remember that. I do remember that. Yeah.
So,
Kieran's I mean, look, he has a lot. I wish he had like made it into the Olympics, and that would have been a good thing to sort of talk about. But unfortunately, a lot of these guys, as long as they're not accruing some of the big world ranking points, and unfortunately, he just sort of missed out on U.S. Open qualifying, so he didn't get in there either. But look, hopefully, a lot of this stuff is going to be resolved pretty soon, and there's going to be some more major pathways for these guys and more opportunities for them to earn ranking points, so that 2028 Olympics, we're looking at a much different golf world.
What's wild is he actually has Scott beat out right now, because Scott has been on LIV for longer and he hasn't been playing as many Asian Tour events. And Kieran just won and went and won that Kit Kat. So like, that's right. When you think about the brothers, you kind of think of like Scott's probably the better of the two. Kieran's still really long and has his own different type of game, but he is beating him in OWGR. So whatever that means, Kieran's your guy. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. I think on that note, I think we've probably covered everything. Can't really think of any other topics. So,
did you want?
Is there anything?
I don't want to spoil anybody's stuff, but they're probably going to get it out sooner or later. But Grant I never know how to say his name. Horvat. Horvat.
Yeah, with the
Horvat. He was out there again today. I know we had seen him before in Miami. Nice. I think he was shooting some content with Rahm. So watch out for that.
Yeah, he did just recently release a video with Jon Rahm as well. So there might be a part
Get a
Might be
little
a
bit of friendship
series. I'm
going.
not entirely sure. Yeah, I like it. No, it's good to see the influencers out there, like Grant Horvat won. There's been other guys out there too. I know Mr. Short Game.
Mr.
I know
Short Game, he
he
was
was
back
in
there
the.
today. Actually, he was caddying for
Yeah, I heard
Grant.
of an oppressor.
Yeah,
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 shout out to Mr. Short Game.
yeah.
And then I think I think there's a few Barstool folks out there. Like
Yeah.
I think maybe Hannah Cook. She's been at a few live odd live events. Always a pleasure to see her out there. So.
Yeah, I think I did see her in there today, and I think I heard her mention something about playing with Cam Smith. So that could be
nice.
Two blondes with long hair. Who knows?
Right, good
stuff.
Love
that's
to see the
really
influencers out there.
Yeah, for sure. I thought that was interesting. Just this continued maturation of kind of, it live being recognized by all these different people, and it was great. So
it's onwards and upwards with LIV Golf, just with the sponsors. Yeah. I mean, there's a few things that I keep hearing rumblings about in the background, like some big ones, some really, really big sponsors, and I've got some theories floating around out. Some commercials out there that are featuring some LIV players of some really big brands. So
that'll be exciting to see. Look, I mean, there's space for it. And actually, I just want to touch on this real quick, but I'm sure you'll see it and it'll come through. The build out this week is great. It's an excellent build out. It's pretty, there's a lot of space out there. The arena or the stage for the performances is awesome. It's like the clubhouse, then this big hill, and then the stage is right down by the water near 18. So they'll have a little bit of that ambiance, but then also like a great amphitheater type thing. I think people who are coming out to Nashville, if you're in this area and you're a LIV fan who's not already going, go. I think it's going to be great. I think a lot of the stuff they have set up out there looks excellent. It's hard to compete with the USGA at an anchor site, but it's close. It is close. Nice. And honestly, if you're like, oh, the only tickets left are the luxury ones, I walked around in there today. They're nice. So, splurge on yourself a little bit if you have to. If you're late to the party and you can't get the GA seats. So,
for sure.
That's really all I got. I'm looking forward to. I mean, I really am looking forward to Nashville. I think it's gonna be hot and rowdy and a good time. Golf but louder.
Look, it's the southeast June. Like there's just no cool temperatures almost at all. It is what it is. I'm looking forward to it as well. I think it's gonna be a great event. Always looking forward to LIV weeks, just because there's not that many of them. There's not that many left, and I love going to new courses and just kind of seeing how these guys get on. So
we'll have 4 after this one. So we're winding down.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Time flies.
We'll be in Chicago before you know it. And I just wanted to say real quick, thank you, Ben, for letting me steal your spot. I'm sorry you couldn't be here today. And Pro, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And hopefully we get to do a few more of these in the near future. And it was a time today. A really pinch myself moment, trying to spit out at the best I could. My question for 2 of the best world's players was, I mean, I don't know I don't know how long I'm going to do this or if I'm going to continue to do this, but at the same time, like that was an experience today that I will never forget. So I just thank you to you guys for allowing me to kind of represent GLU out here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate everything you do. I think it was Official Tour Pro that basically said you're the number one boots on the ground golf reporter out there right now. Like your content has been top notch. Thank you again for all the work that you did at Pinehurst. Thank you for the efforts in Nashville. I know the LIV executive team has already reached out to me, just saying that what a great job you've already done since the time you've been there. So thank you for everything that you do. And we'll definitely, this is going to be a regular thing. Look, we've already got our Twitter spaces that we do every week that we co-host. And this is kind of a nice little add-on, and we've got to do that in a
I was just going to say, I guess I'll be talking to you. We're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, so we'll talk soon.
But seriously, I appreciate it. And then like for anybody out there who might be a hater listening or whatever, I do this because I love golf. I didn't walk 65 miles over 77 days because I don't love golf. It wasn't, the monetary stuff in the future, if it does come, great. But even if I got paid nothing, I would still be doing this because this is what I love. This is my hobby. This is my giving back to the game at this current time for me. So, just taking a little bit out of my guy Bryson's book, just doing what I can. He can swing a club. Yeah, growing the game. He can swing the club like an absolute bat out of hell, and I can tweet. What are you gonna do? So
we all have our contributions. I think it's been one of the best parts about the last couple of years is just kind of all of us that have been involved in and around LIV kind of finding our niche here a little bit in terms of content and sort of the various things that we are providing. Look, there was a lot of media out there at Pinehurst. I don't think any of them worked harder than you did. So, I mean, and you're not going to get paid for it. So, I mean, it's something that like, I want everybody to just like, I mean, there are a lot of haters out there, and I would put Brandel Chambly at the very, very top of that. He thinks every LIV fan is like some fake account, and it's like, I've invited him to have a discussion. If he wants to come on Golf Lovers United at any point, Brandel Chambly, you have an open invitation. If you want to talk to some real LIV golf fans, and we're friendly. Although I'm going to hold your feet to the fire because you've done a lot of damage. So
there's actually we're gonna come up. We got called LIV Boys today in a podcast, not LIV Bots.
Oh,
so
I did hear that. Yeah, shout out.
That means we have human parts. We're not computers anymore.
Exactly.
So that's
we've upgraded.
Yeah, one more step. And then also just like I know we're just kind of doing all this, but quick shout out to Mike McAllister. I got to chat with him today. Always great.
Nice.
He was not given an inside the ropes pass for Pinehurst.
Really?
So I was like, Mike, I didn't see you out there. He's like, well, I didn't have inside the ropes, and I walked a little bit, but I wasn't able to really keep up. And he is a little on the older side, like we know, and I don't blame him one bit for not wanting to be out there in the heat advisory and all that. But especially not being able to. I mean, it was a challenge to get around that golf course in some areas. So we love everything he does. I want to shout him out. I was so upset to hear that he wasn't given that pass. I guess the USGA allowed him to be there. He definitely got questions. We could hear him in the pressers, but just, I don't know, we're still working on it.
The whole media credentials thing is just very, very strange with the golf establishment. And I think we are going to have some, like I said, the last podcast, we're going to have some changes, I think, here in the next year where things are going to kind of, I think that some of this old boys club with the media is going to kind of get broken up here. So again, we'll have to see. This is me projecting out, except I'm excited about the future of golf. Hopefully we can sort of weed out some of these people in the golf community that don't actually like golf because there's plenty of them out there.
Right.
Anyway. We're coming up on an hour here, so
we should call it.
We gotta close out. But no, thank you again, everybody. It's at Red Harrington on Twitter. I am at Pro Golf Critic, obviously on Twitter, or the X, obviously as kids call it. Red, thank you again for coming in.
Thank you.
Super excited about Nashville. Enjoy your time there. Great questions again today in the pressers, and looking forward to more. And thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Like and subscribe. The like and subscribe open.
Love it.
Can't do it enough.
All right, everybody, take care.
Thanks.